Way back in 218 BC, a Carthaginian general did something so completely audacious, so impossible that we're still talking about it over 2,000 years later. He decided he was going to take the word to Rome by marching an army right over the Alps. This is that story.
Okay, so let's just start with the image that's in everyone's head, right? The question that defines this entire epic. War elephants, the tanks of the ancient world, climbing the highest mountains in Europe. I mean, how on earth do you even begin to think that's a good idea?
The mystery of his route has been so all-consuming for so long that historians in France actually came up with a name for it: Hannibalism. It's this incredible obsession with trying to solve a puzzle with clues from ancient, conflicting sources and almost no hard evidence. It's basically a 2,000-year-old cold case. To really understand the why anyone would even attempt this, we have to rewind. We've got to look past the mountains and back in time to a story about a humiliating defeat, a powerful family, and a promise of revenge that would literally change the course of history. So it all kicks off right here. After the First Punic War, Carthage gets absolutely crushed by Rome. Hannibal's father, a guy named Hamilcar Barca, sets out to rebuild their power base over in the Iberian Peninsula, what we call Spain today. And when Hamilcar dies, a 26-year-old Hannibal doesn't just inherit an army, he inherits his father's burning mission to make Rome pay.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This wasn't just some strategic military campaign. For Hannibal, this was personal. His entire plan was built on finishing his father's work. The goal wasn't just to fight Rome, but to take the fight to their home turf and shatter their power right in Italy.
And this was the man who was gonna do it. See, Rome controlled the seas, so a naval invasion was a non-starter. And their land defenses along the coast, totally formidable. So Hannibal's solution was to think the unthinkable. Go over the top, where absolutely no one would ever expect an army to just pop up.
So let's actually trace this incredible journey. Because long before Hannibal's army ever saw a single snowy peak, they had to fight their way through hundreds of miles of hostile territory. The march was absolutely brutal from day one.
He leaves Spain with a force that was so massive, it was basically a moving city. We're talking 90,000 infantrymen, thousands of cavalry, and, of course, his famous elephants.
Now, his first major hurdle wasn't the Alps at all. It was securing the land route out of Spain. And that meant a quick but incredibly bloody 2-month campaign to conquer all the tribes living between the Ebro River and the Pyrenees Mountains.
And this really puts the cost of his ambition in perspective. He won, yeah, but the campaign just to get to Gaul, what's now France, cost him 13,000 men. And the Alps? They were still weeks away.
But his tactical brilliance was on full display at the Rhone River. He's facing this enemy force dug in on the other side, just waiting to pick his army apart as they crossed. So what does he do? He comes up with this genius plan: send a small force on a secret march way upriver to cross and come at them from behind. So picture this. His main army starts making a huge racket, a very noisy, very obvious crossing, drawing all the enemy's attention. Just then, his flanking force charges in from the rear. The Gauls are trapped, their camp is set on fire, and what should have been a slaughter turned into a complete and decisive victory for Carthage. Just brilliant. Okay, now we get to the central puzzle of this entire story. The army finally makes it to the foot of the Alps, but for 2,000 years, nobody could agree on the exact path they took to get over them.
This one question, it has fueled centuries of debate. Our main ancient sources, the historians Polybius and Livy, they give us conflicting, kind of vague accounts. They mention landmarks that are really hard to identify today, which just leaves the door wide open for interpretation. And all that ambiguity, it fueled a dizzying number of theories. You had historians proposing route after route, each one with its own supporters and its own critics. Without any real proof, the whole debate was just stuck. One of the best clues we had for a long time came from Polybius, who actually claimed he went to the area himself. He wrote that Hannibal took the highest pass. But even that's open to interpretation. I mean, which pass was he talking about? So the debate just raged on for centuries. That is, until pretty recently, when scientists decided to look for a totally different kind of evidence. Not for weapons or armor, but for something an army with tens of thousands of animals would have definitely left behind.
And here it is, the big breakthrough. Soil analysis near this one super remote pass, the Col de la Traversette. It revealed what they call a mass animal deposit. Basically, a layer of churned up earth that contains bacteria only found in the guts of horses and mules. And the carbon dating of that layer? It came back to 218 BC, the exact year Hannibal crossed. This is the strongest evidence we've ever had that this incredibly high, difficult pass was his route. But finding the path, well, it only serves to highlight the sheer horror of the crossing itself. The 15-day journey over those mountains was a total nightmare of ambushes, blizzards, and pure exhaustion. And believe it or not, the hardest part was still to come. See, the Italian side of the Alps is way steeper than the French side. The descent was just this treacherous slide on ice and snow. Men and animals were constantly losing their footing, falling thousands of feet. At one point, a landslide completely wiped out the path, and they had to spend 3 days rebuilding it just so the elephants could get across.
The final toll it's almost unbelievable. Just look at these numbers. The army that left Spain with over 100,000 men limped into Italy with barely a third of that. Most of those losses, tens of thousands of soldiers, happened right there, in those mountains. Just a staggering price to pay.
But for those who survived, can you imagine this moment? After a 5-month march from hell, they stand at the summit, and Hannibal points down towards the plains of Italy. Their impossible goal was finally in sight. They had actually done it.
Hannibal had pulled off one of the greatest military feats in all of human history, but crossing the Alps was never the end goal. It was just the opening act. The real war, the one he swore to his father he would win, was just about to begin, right on Rome's doorstep.